So, welcome back to another quarter with Storytel. On my side I have...
Sofie Zettergren, CFO at Storytel.
And my name is Jonas Tellander, I'm CEO and co-founder of Storytel. So, Q4 2018 is what we're going to talk about here today, and a little bit about what's happened since New Year 2019 as well. But basically to sum up, well, we're pretty happy about this quarter. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happening at Storytel. Let's look a little bit at the numbers. So basically, the subscriber base growth was 44% in Q4 compared to Q4 in 2017, which is a good increase. Streaming sales up 39% year on year compared to last year. And then streaming sales surpassed the target that we set at the beginning of this year. We set two targets basically, 1 billion krona in streaming revenue sales, and we met that and exceeded it as well. And then we set another target that we missed by 2 weeks, which was annoying. But basically 800,000 subscribers is the number we passed in the second week of January, so it was not that bad, but a little bit late.
Yeah, no, I would say it's quite accurately, and for us, I mean, it is quite easy to forecast top line growth since we have a lot of historical data on KPIs such as intake and churn. But then we also gave a forecast on bottom line, and that's of course a little bit more complex in a business such as Storytel. So the target was an EBITDA margin of -10%. We came in the full year of -12.3%. And the reasons or some explanations, around 1% is explained by FX effects, meaning that the Swedish krona has weakened against other currencies where we are investing more than top line. And then there are some more markets where we actually started to prepare for launch already in 2018, which was not in the budget, so that's Brazil and Singapore. And then we also had some projects that were not in the budget, such as the listing change to Nasdaq and some other IT-related projects.
So all in all, a pretty good quarter.
Yeah.
So let's now spend a little time talking about Storytel's growth funnel, basically how we grow the business. Because as you've understood so far, we tend to add a number of markets to the Storytel world, and now we're up at 15 markets. A year ago that was 9 markets, and 2 years ago it was 6 markets. So you can see that, you know, really strong growth in terms of the number of markets we launched Storytel in. But then of course just launching a market is not enough. You need to pass certain milestones, and the first milestone we look at is when we reach 10,000 subscribers. And then the second one is 25,000 subscribers, the third one 50,000 subscribers, and then the final milestone basically right now is you know, becoming profitable. So that's the ultimate goal, kind of, or not ultimate goal, but you know, highly relevant, because then the local market doesn't consume any resources cash flow wise anymore. So if you look at that trend, we've basically gone from, you know, 4 markets with 10,000 subscribers and more 2 years ago to 10 markets with 10,000 subscribers and more now. So that, you know, is a very good foundation for really growing the business. And those 4 markets that had 10,000 subscribers 2 years ago, they now have more than 50,000 subscribers. So it's really following a very clear trend. You know, you add a little bit of time and investments and skills, and then, you know, basically markets grow.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about profitability, and we had a goal in 2018 to add 1 market, which we did, Iceland, and then of course it is important for us to eventually show profits. It's in the beginning it's a trade-off between growth and profitability, but once you reach a certain customer base and also a certain penetration level of that market, we expect them to be profitable. So for 2019 we hope that we think that we will add at least 1 more market. So it will be exciting to follow that.
Yeah, and let's hope it's maybe becomes even 2. But 1 market is really the goal, and you know, Netherlands is the biggest markets right now that should be set for future profitability. Yeah. And then we have a couple of others we hope will come as well. So basically, that's a little bit about our growth model, adding more markets, then making sure that we pass these milestones and then eventually end up in a profitability position on that market. And the step on that stepping stone is really to become the market leader as well, which we have succeeded with in most of our markets.
So we thought that we would guide you through a little bit how we see two of our biggest markets, Sweden and Denmark, which is also the markets where we have both the streaming part and also the print part. And looking at 2018, we increased sales in Sweden and Denmark with 16%. So sales is now over 1.2 billion Swedish krona with an EBITDA margin of 8%. And our long-term goal for Sweden and Denmark, looking at it as a whole market, is 15%. And we are on a good way to reach that with some initiatives that we have and that we see that the market is still growing quite significantly.
Yeah, and if you look at those book markets, if you look at the Swedish market, you have now 4.8% growth on the overall book market from some statistics we got from the Publishers Association last week. So that's incredibly encouraging. It was 4.2% a year ago, so from 4 to 5%. And growth in the book business is really, it's very, very encouraging. And you have very few markets in the world that are actually growing, but Sweden is one of them. And Denmark is actually also one of them, growing by a couple of percent now. And going back to the Swedish market, what's really driving that growth, you can see, is now the streaming subscriptions. So that's clearly leading the way of the book market in the future. And I think what we will need to see in the coming years is that that's a sustainable growth for the overall market, which I think some people are not 100% sure about that. I think we at Storytel are 100% sure that we are creating and adding a lot of good book reading into people's everyday lives. So it should then be reflected also in an overall revenue growth for the long term.
And then also another welcomed decision that came last week from the Swedish government was that the VAT on digital books will finally go down, also on magazines. So the VAT rate will be reduced from 25% as it is today to 6%, and that will come into effect July 1st. And that will, of course, have a big impact on Storytel as a business, and it will help us to both improve the customer offering, but also, of course, Storytel as a company can gain from this, and also the authors and the publishers.
Yeah, so it should be something for all stakeholders in the basically ecosystem.
Yeah, and it's a EU decision, so we know that the Swedish government has now made that decision, and there are some other markets such as Poland and Finland where we also know that the VAT will go down during 2019.
And looking at the print publishing business, which we have in Sweden in the form of Norstedts, and then in Denmark in the form of People's Press, those have always had a low VAT, or at least for the past 16 years. And looking at our businesses there, we can see that Norstedts had another very, very solid year with good profitability. And in particular, we could see the children's books business, Rabén and Sjögren, performing incredibly well, with a couple of really strong characters, like Handbook for Superheroes is one of them. It's going really, really well. So that's encouraging. We also saw their digital revenues growing, as you would expect, but growing very, very strongly. And then in People's Press, we have some news because we've recruited a really, really star to become the new CEO of People's Press in Denmark, Tine Smedegaard Andersen, who was formerly the publishing head of the leading publishing house Gyldendal in Denmark, and she now, in her latest role, was at Denmark Radio, working as a director of culture. So a very, very, very strong recruitment that we look forward to joining the team in April.
Yes. So we thought that we would end by looking a little bit ahead, looking at the Q1 forecast that we have. So looking at Sweden, we launched a family subscription in December, and we can see that a lot of customers has signed up for that, and meaning that we have quite a good subscriber base growth in Sweden. We are up again at 60,000 paying subscribers if we look year on year. And then on the international side, we are growing with over 50,000 subscribers during Q1. And looking at a year ago, that figure is 200,000 subscribers. So we thought that, or we think that we will have an average of 835,000 subscribers in Q1. And looking at the revenue, what you can see is that the ARPU is declining a little bit. And it's different factors that is taken into account when we do that forecast. And one is that Q1 is a quarter with only 90 days. So not so much we can do about that.
It actually makes a difference of, what, 2%?
Yeah. So that has an effect, and then also the family subscription, we had an introduction offer for family, so that price will go up a little bit in March, up to the normal price. And then looking at the international, we have a good growth in some countries where the price is lower. So that's the effect of the ARPU for this quarter, and we expect it to go up, at least in Sweden, in Q2.
Yeah, and what happened since New Year?
Yeah, we have some exciting news that has come out. So
yeah, we acquired a company called Story, a magazine subscription company. Very nice company and nice, cool service that works extremely well. They've kind of lacked resources lately, so we think that under the Storytel umbrella, we'll be able to provide this excellent service to the Storytel subscribers, and that's going to come later this year, so we're preparing for that rollout. It's going to be exciting. And then only this morning of releasing the quarterly report, we also announced that we will actually launch Germany before the summer, so that's going to be another exciting thing and adventure to jump into. I mean, Germany is a market that I remember going to the book fairs in Germany, in Leipzig and Frankfurt already back in 2007, because that's where all the big publishers gather from around the world. But also thinking that, should probably get started in Germany now. That market has been, non-digital, basically, physical for all this time, and it's only now that things are really changing. So it's going to be an exciting journey in Germany as well.
So I guess that was it for this quarter, right?
Yes. So see you around next quarter, and thank you for being interested in Storytel as a company, and hopefully also consuming some of our audiobooks that's out there. So, bye bye.
Bye bye.